Iran's decision to choke traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has already jolted global energy markets, and experts now warn that the same corridor also holds a more hidden risk: the fiber-optic cables that keep the world's internet and financial systems running. So today in this edition of From the News Desk, we will talk about if those undersea lines were damaged in the widened US-Israel-Iran confrontation, how the impact could ripple far beyond oil markets into banks, data centers, and most importantly, everyday connectivity across multiple continents. Well, the standoff in the Gulf has entered its third week after strikes by the United States and Israel on Iranian targets, prompting Tehran to restrict commercial traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. With sea mines reportedly laid in the narrow passage, major shipping lines and insurers have pulled back, disrupting the flow of oil and gas that normally moves from the Gulf to the global markets. Well, this has fanned fear of full-blown energy crisis, as Hormuz is the main outlet for crude exporters from producers such as Saudi Arabia, Iraq, the UAE, and Iran itself. And any prolonged halt in tanker movements through this very choke point threatens to squeeze supplies, drive up prices, and expose energy-dependent economies from Europe to Asia to sudden shocks. In fact, now the impact is clearly visible. But beneath these same waters lies another critical system, a dense web of fiber optic cables carrying a large portion of the world's international internet traffic. In fact, the Strait of Hormuz and the strait at the mouth of the Red Sea both sit atop major sub-sea routes linking Europe, Asia, and Africa. And as per reports, at least 17 submarine cables run through the Red Sea alone, forming a key bridge for data between continents. In fact, in the Persian Gulf and around Hormuz, active systems such as AAE-1, Falcon, the Gulf Bridge International Cable System, provide vital links to India and other regional economies. Well, together these cables underpin everything from video calls and cloud computing to financial transfers and artificial intelligence services. Over the past few years, technology giants including Amazon, Microsoft, and Google have poured billions of dollars into building large data centers in Gulf states such as UAE and Saudi Arabia, betting on the region as a future hub for AI and cloud services. Those facilities are plugged into global markets through the very undersea cables now exposed to conflict near Hormuz and in the Red Sea. And if multiple lines were cut off or even damaged, traffic would have to be routed along longer, less direct paths, increasing latency and degrading service quality for users as far as Europe, India, and entire East Asia. Banks, stock exchanges, hospitals, and logistical networks, all reliant on low latency connections, could face disruption far more severe than a temporary website slowdown. Well, the current fears are not theoretical. In fact, in 2024, cables in the Red Sea were damaged amid Houthi attack on shipping, part of a wider campaign linked to the Israel-Hamas war. Those incidents significantly slowed internet speed in parts of Asia, Africa, and full restoration took months because repair vessels stayed away from the danger and the conflict zone. In fact, analysts warn that closing or disruption both in Hormuz and at the Red Sea at the same time would be globally disruptive, hitting two of the world's most important digital choke points at once. Now the big question is whether Iran could or would try to intentionally sever the cables around and in Hormuz as part of its standoff with the US and Israel. Well, the strait's shallow depth, which is around 200 feet at the narrowest point, makes the cables more accessible than in deep ocean stretches, and Iran is believed to retain underwater teams and shadow fleets in the area despite losses to its surface navy. But so far, there is no public evidence that Tehran plans to target the cables, and such a move would risk massive diplomatic blowback, including from countries not directly involved or part of this very conflict but heavily reliant on Gulf connectivity. Still, experts say the mere possibility, combined with the difficulty of repairing any damage under current circumstances, means the risk of a major internet and financial shock has been never higher.